Welcome to Kairos. My name is Julio Rivera, and today I'm going to teach you how to create a brand from zero, even if you are an absolutely beginner. And we are going to do this with real-life example. This is my MyK company, which is the biggest MyK company in Spain with an annual revenue of almost $500,000. And I'm going to show you everything we did to create this brand and the products we created. For example, this MyK kit, which I have right here, and I designed it myself. And we're even going to design the logo for Kairos, step by step, with everything you need to create, from the brand definition, research, typography, color palette, logo design, vectorizing in Illustrator, to everything you need to do up until you reach the final step to create the brand guidelines so you can give it to your customer and get paid for creating an awesome looking brand. So I hope you're ready. Let's begin with the course. The briefing is one of the most important and most underrated tools in brand design, because I know you're a creative guy, you just want to grab a pencil, start doing some sketches, and came out with an awesome looking logo. But again, a logo is for a company the same as clothes are for humans. We're not defined by the clothes we wear. We're defined by our goals, our interests, the way we think, the way we connect with people, the way we talk. All those things is what make us be who we are. So the same in branding. We need to know the goals of the company. Who are they talking to? Who do they want to connect with? How are those people? How are the products they sell? Also, the look they want to have, the how it's going to be the photography, the web design, the logo, all that stuff is very important. But as well is the information about the company, about their goals, about how they are, what's the story behind them. And the briefing is all that, all the information we need for our design process. It's like a treasure map. If you follow the treasure map, you will find the gold, okay? So in a briefing, you need information about three things. Your customer, the company you are designing for, the product, whatever you are designing for, even if it's your own product or your own brand, you need to know this information that I'm going to tell you about. Second part, you need information about the style and what inspires them visually. Okay, so the visual part is the second step. And the third step is the brand usage. Where is this brand going to be used? In online resources, maybe they are going to print, make some clothes. We need to know that. Okay, so I will leave the briefing questions that you can ask yourself or your customer in kairosplan.com in the branding course, but I will let you know some questions that may be interesting. About the company, for example, you can ask, what's the story behind your company? What are your mission and vision? This is another underrated tool, but the mission and vision is very important to know. What do the company want to achieve? Where do they see themselves in a couple of years from now? Also, what the values drive your business? About their products or services. What do you offer and what makes it special? You need to know the products of the company you are designing for. That's very important because the brand is going to be in those products. Even if it's a digital, physical, whatever they are selling, your brand is going to be there. And also if they have any unique features of benefits, something that differentiates them from the competitors. Also, what's their target audience? This is very important. Who are your customers? Who are you trying to sell to? Because the brand has to connect with those people. Okay, so what are their likes, dislikes, and needs? And current challenges. This is also very important. What's not working with your current branding? This is important because this happened to myself at MyK Artistry. Maybe you don't know, I run the biggest online magic store and magic school in Spain. And when we started, we were only an e-commerce selling some magic products. Then we started creating our own products, some magic kits. Then we launched an online school, a club, a forum, a blog. We started to launch all those many products. And then the brand was like, we couldn't cover all the usage we needed. And we didn't have all the colors, all the resources. So we needed to make a new brand. And those problems were the ones that caused the rebranding. So as your customer, ask yourself if you're designing something for yourself, what are you trying to solve? What are the problems that the brand is going to solve? This is very important. That's about the information from the company. Then you need to know the style they want to achieve. Okay, so any design preference like colors they like, colors they want to avoid, maybe fonts they love or hate. Of course, they're not going to tell you, I love Helvetica or I love Arial, because they probably don't know about design. But ask them to take photos of things they want. For example, if they have 1 week to fulfill the briefing, when they are in the street or surfing the web, to take screenshots or photos of things that inspires them. Okay, so the styles they admire, maybe modern, vintage, minimalistic, abstract, whatever. Also, inspirational brands. This is very important because sometimes people don't know what they like, but if they like minimalism or modern design, or maybe they can tell you that they want something, but when they see it applied in a brand, in a real world brand, that's when they know if they like something or not. Okay, so that's very important. And then you have to make the work to know the style that brand is using and how you can apply it to the brand that you are designing. Okay, so what elements from those brands appeal to them? And for this exercise is, you can ask them to send you photos through WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever, or maybe create a Pinterest mood board or in Canva. That's very, very useful. And last, what are the uses they are going to give to this brand? Okay, so are they going to use in their website? Of course they are. Social media, of course they are. But maybe they're going to make a newsletter or a blog, or maybe they need to print business cards or some clothes, or maybe in vehicles or uniforms. Okay, so you need to know where the brand is going to be used. Because, for example, if you need to, I don't know how it's said in English, but there is some kind of printing in t-shirts that it's made not like a printing. It's like it's with, I don't know how to say it, but those kinds of printing have limitations in the sizes of the stroke, of the vertices. So those things you have to take into consideration. Okay, so that's the 3 parts about your customers company, the style they want, and where is the brand going to be used. And last and most important thing, you need to set milestones and dates. If you are working for yourself, as well if you are working for a customer. Whenever you do any project, this is not just about brand design, you need to set goals and dates, because otherwise the project will go on and on forever. Okay, so there are 3 main milestones. First, to complete the briefing and make a meeting with your customer to know you are aligned in the direction that he wanna go. And second part, the first brand propositions. Okay, so 1 or 2 designs to show them to your customers and know that they like it, so you can make the last part, create all the resources they need, all the designs, like concrete designs for if the design is going to be in a website, how it's going to look, if the design is going to be in a vehicle, how it's going to be, if it's going to be in a t-shirt, everything, the mock-ups, everything. And then the last step is the final delivery. Okay, so this is the briefing. I know it's very complex, but trust me, this is very, very important. Probably the most important part of your brand design process, and this will guide you through all the steps. As you know, this course aims to be very practical, so you can apply everything you learn here. So we are going to see real-life examples from my company, Spanish MyK company, and also from Kairos, which is going to be the project we are going to be developing in this course. So right here I have Magic Artistry, my MyK company. This is the website. Right now we are in a Halloween promotion, but you can make a feel of what the website looks like. We have right here all the categories. This is the kit we launched a couple of months ago. We made 200 units for the launch and we sold out in less than 24 hours. Then we made another 600 and then 400 more. So it went pretty well. And some of the things we did here, the design, the message, everything was related to the rebranding we made. We also have the online school, which is pretty new. It only has a couple of months. In fact, this didn't exist when we made the briefing. It was just an idea, and right now it's a reality. We have, I think, almost 200 students right now. And yeah, so all this briefing that I'm going to show you, this is just a translation because it was in Spanish, of course. But all this came up to different things we noticed that our last brand didn't have and it needed. Okay, so we described our project, the story behind, objectives, everything I told you, brand values. We made everything ideal audience. So as you can see, this is not just something I'm telling you to do and I don't do it. I applied myself. Hobbies, interests, who my audience is, age, everything, frustration and problems of my audience. What should your customers choose your brand over your competition? Customer journey, competitors, how do you envision your new brand? We made a lot of examples and why did I like each one of those examples. And we noticed that our last brand was just, well, this is the Kairos logo. I will show you later, the website we are preparing. Maybe when you're seeing this, it's already finished, but this is the brand we end up having. It At the beginning, we had an iconic logo, which was like an eye, and we changed it to just plain text. Why? Because as I told you, Magic Artistry was changing from just an online store to a place, because it wasn't anymore just a place to buy some deck of cards, to buy some tricks. It was a place where people lived magic, because we had a community. We have a club right here with thousands of magicians sign up right here. So a lot of movement right here. We have our school that also has a community inside, live streams, courses, everything they need. We even have some Telegram and WhatsApp communities. So it was a place where people don't just buy things. They live magic, they share magic, they connect with other magicians. So we needed a logo that was flexible enough to cover all the necessities we have, because we are not just anymore an online shop. So the logo, it's pretty simple. It's just some typography, custom made, which has a reduced version right here, and the ampersand character, this one right here. We can create a hand with a wand. That is a resource we can apply in our packaging, websites, everywhere. In fact, this is our icon for reduced versions, and we have plenty of color. Each color represents some things. For example, purple means community, is for our club. This green right here is for our shop, and it has a meaning and a reason. This red right here is for our school. We needed to create kits for many magic disciplines. So we have cards, coins, rope, objects, social media, levitation, manipulation, I don't know the names in comic magic, kids magic, stage. Okay, so those are the kind of illustrations we came up with. And also each project has its own representation. This is the online school, online store, community, free content. Okay, so all this came from the briefing, so I will show you later. But I also made we will have a class about mission, vision, and values, but I also made it for Kairos. Okay, so in Kairos we have to empower self-taught individuals by offering practical and free courses based on real projects, which is what we are doing right here, fostering continuous learning and daily growth. Oops, sorry. So because we want to universalize knowledge through an open and accessible platform where learning and developing skill is a practical and meaningful experience. And our goal is also to create a community passionate about knowledge that transforms small daily learnings into a significant social impact, seizing the opportunity moment to take action. And of course, I also made, because if you don't know, Kairos is a Greek god that means the right or critical moment, the opportunity. Okay, so there are two gods, two Greek gods that has something to do with time. It's Kronos, who is always it's always there, like time, which is always there. But Kairos is not. It's not always there. It comes just sometimes, and you can rather grab his hand and grab the opportunity, or let it go, and he will not come until you don't know when. Okay, so that's Kairos. Kairos is the right moment. That's why we wanted to name this project this way, because it's the right moment to learn, the right moment to seize that opportunity you want to grow your skills and to improve your professional and personal career. Okay, so all that has a meaning. And we also made some like design mood board. So for the style we wanted, with some Greek letters, the concept of time, of now, play, pause, and minimal design, Greek gods, Greek illustrations, handwritten. So all this end up being what we are going to be doing in this project, which is the Kairos logo with the alpha and some Greek letters, and everything that we created, from the color study, the typography, everything you need from up until the final mockups and products, which is going to end up being a real website. So all this is what we are going to see in this course, but it all starts by defining the briefing. Some parts in this briefing, like the mission, vision, values, naming, all that, we will see it in this course, but it's something important that you make this briefing. So use some of the questions and start filling them. With a fictional project, maybe use a brand that you like and make a rebranding of that brand. Grab a project that you have, a project of your friend, whatever, but make the briefing, because you will see how practical and how helpful it is in a design project process. Yes, I know what you're thinking. More boring stuff. Why can't I just start designing? Well, as you know, creativity is not something you can activate and deactivate whenever you want. You have to work on it. And the more information you have, the better result you will have. And research doesn't have to be something boring. It's not about looking at scientific papers or looking at some stats about market size, market share, market growth that you don't even understand. You don't have to do any of that boring stuff. It's about immersing into the market you are designing for, because you want to get to know the target audience. How are the competitors connecting with that target audience? How do they talk with each other? What are the influencers that they are following? For example, if you want to design for a magic company, go to YouTube and start learning some magic, so you will feel the pain problems they have in that process of learning. What are the benefits they are trying to achieve? How is that process? How are they interacting with each other? Go to the comments, go to Reddit, or wherever your target audience is. You just wanna get to know them, how they talk, how they interact, because it's not the same to design a brand for a company that sells toys to kids than a brand for a law firm, for example, or for a magic company. So the market and the target audience changes, and that changes how the brand is going to connect with that audience and how it's going to look. So that's important. Not making some market research and investigation and those boring stuff. It has no use. I'm here to teach you real life solutions for the projects that you're going to create. Things that are practical and that have a reason. And when you design a brand that you want that brand to connect with some audience, you need to be part of that audience. The more immersion you make into that audience, the more you know how they talk, how they are, what are their dreams, what they want to achieve with your product, the better you will be able to design the brand that you want to achieve. So that's very important. Make an immersion into the market, how the competitors are talking to the audience, are connecting to them, what could be done better, what is being done very good. And one thing that you do need to make is a list of competitors, because we will use that list later on when creating a color palette and seeing design opportunity. So this is the research, something that doesn't have to be boring. In fact, enjoy it. Take it as a way of learning new things about new markets. If it's about, I don't know, maybe diet, sports, design, magic, whatever, investigate and enjoy this process, because it has to be an enjoyable process. For me, this is the best part in the process of creating a brand. You have the briefing with everything the project and your customer needs. You have done some research, so you know the target audience and the competitors, and it's time to define the brand. The decisions you make now will guide you through the design process. So first, you need to come up with lots of ideas. For this, you can make focus groups, brainstorming, use post-its, whatever you want. I prefer using mind maps, So in this case, you put the name of the brand in the middle. If you don't have it yet, just put brand, and later on when you make the naming, you put it here and see if it makes sense. And you start writing down all the words that has some relation. For example, Kairos is a god from Greece. So it has relation with the Greek culture, which was an historic civilization who were very visionaries because they were so ahead of their times. So they were modern and timeless. That's something that we will see in the logo when we design it. They are also very related to knowledge, which is something very important in this project because it's about teaching stuff. So progress, knowledge, science, wisdom, philosophy, all that is very related to Greece. In fact, they were the creators of philosophy. Kairos is also related to the right moment because Kairos is the god of the right moment, of the opportunity, the time, and most of all, action. So Kairos is related to action. But Kairos is a project also related to learning with real projects, practical, real experience, seeing results, to develop your skills in modular micro-credentials so the learning is fast and you can experience progress every day. Because the lessons I'm creating, like this one, are very short, very specific, so you can apply everything you learn right away. And this learning creates a transformation, developing yourself for a better future. Because you are developing maybe your financial skills, digital, health, social, entrepreneurship, everything. Because it's about all the knowledge, the love for knowledge. And all these words that I put here, you will see that they will define the brand that we will create. Not only visual, but also the tone, the voice, our mission, vision, everything. Because if you see right here in the logo is lowercase. Why it's well, it's first of all, it's serif font. Okay, so you can see here, serif font is when they have these ornaments right here. Okay, so this is sans serif, is more minimal and more linear, and serif fonts are more related to tradition, all cultures. It's like more ancient font. Okay, that's why I decided to use a serif font, because it's related to the Greece culture and the history. Okay, but it's lowercase because I wanted to have a relationship with the human part of ourselves, because we are not a huge corporation. We are like a project from people made to people, because we have a very, very important community part in which we share together to universalize knowledge. And because when we create a community, the impact is exponential, because maybe I can help one or two people, but those two people can help another two, and those four another two. So the growth is exponential. And that community part is reflected in the lowercase. That human and community part also is italic. It's not a regular font. As you can see, this right here is italic because the font is diagonal right here. Okay, so this is italic. This is not italic. This is a regular font. And as you can see, an italic font has more movement. It's more dynamic. It implies action, movement. Okay, so that's related to this part right here of the right moment, because we have that action right there. And it's also bold, because we have the bold is also about that transformation, that community, that human part, and also the modern and timeless brand, because we don't want to have some brand that we will need to redesign in the future. Great brands don't need a rebranding. As Apple, the Apple logo has always been the same. Good logos looks always the same. So those are some of the things, there are many more, that define it, the visual part. But not only the visual part, but also the mission, vision, and slogans and values and everything related to our company. Because again, the brand is not just the logo, is how the personality of your company, of your project. So the next step after doing this mind map, and before designing is to define your mission, vision, and you can define maybe values, the tone of the brand. There are many resources you can define, but the most important are mission and vision. And you want to create a small sentence that describes what you want to achieve. In this case, we want to universalize knowledge to empower self-taught individuals and improve their lives. Okay, so our mission, what we want to achieve, the mission has to be something that keeps you motivated and that you really can't achieve, because it's something so big that will keep you motivated always, no matter when. Okay, so our mission is to empower self-taught individuals by offering practical and free courses. This all comes from here. Okay, so we have right here real projects, practical, everything is here. Okay, so here by offering practical and free courses based on real projects, fostering continuous learning and daily growth. Okay, so all that is related here: transformation, self-development, learning, practical. We have also the speed, fast. Okay, so you can learn and apply those things very fast. Okay, so we have free courses. That's the first mission. Universalize knowledge through an open and accessible platform where learning and developing skills is a practical and meaningful experience. That is going to be kairosplan.com, the website we are designing. Okay, so it's in the process right now. Maybe when you are seeing this, the website is already available, where we will have all the courses, lesson by lesson, and the community, everything that I want to build will be there. Okay, and then to create a community passionate about knowledge that transforms small daily learnings into a significant social impact, seizing the opportune moment to take action. Okay, so we have free courses, the platform kairosplan.com, and community, which will be the next step. And you have many things: the social impact, the opportune moment. It's related to Kairos, to action, to the moment is now. Okay, so all those things come from here. Okay, and will be reflected later on in the design, in all the decisions that we made and why we made it this way. Okay, so that's the mission. The vision is like more concrete. What do you want to achieve? How would you know when you've completed that mission? When you are in the how would you know if you are improving and going towards that mission? Well, because we want to create the largest community of passionate autodidacts who, through practical and continuous learning, drive future innovations and improve quality of life in society. We also want to transform the access to education by making knowledge a universal and free tool that allows each person to reach their maximum potential, and foster a society where learning is accessible to all, inspiring people to take action now and contribute for a better world through innovation and personal development. And as this is a new brand, I'm just starting this project, we don't have the values and all that stuff, because I just wanted to define what our mission and vision was, and the how we are going to apply that, I will see, because I'm going to start taking action. That's our mission, taking action, and then I will see how the path and how the life drives me through. Okay, so we have some slogans that help me define the concept. Kairos, your time to grow is now. Learn today, impact tomorrow with Kairos. Practical knowledge for self-taught minds. Free education for a better future. Turn your passion into action. Very important. Knowledge within everyone reads, and some descriptions about the project. Kairos is an open platform, open about community. I'm even thinking about making open source the design, the website, the project itself. If I haven't done it yet, it's because I haven't done it ever. It's something I don't know how to do, so I need to investigate a little bit. Well, it's an open platform that offers practical and free course based on real projects, designed for autodidacts seeking to grow and develop every day. Okay, so that's the same I've been talking about. So right now it's your turn to make this. Create a mind map. This is called Miro, but you can use Miro, Figma, you can use a paper, which is the best solution. I did it here so I can show you. And start writing whatever comes to your mind. There are no wrong answers. Okay, so write everything you can think of. You start creating concepts, and around those concepts, create even more words and more concepts. So you have lots of things that define your brand in an abstract way, and then you have to get all those concepts and translate them to a mission, vision, and some slogans, the tone of your brand, maybe the voice, the values, whatever you want, but at least a mission. You need a sentence that keeps you motivated and that you know that is the goal of the brand. Okay, in this case, universalize knowledge to empower self-taught individuals and improve their lives. If it's a company you are working for to design the brand, ask them if they have a mission, vision, and values, because probably they have it. So if they have it, you can use that to create a mind map and then have the concepts that will help you later on when designing the logo. But now let's go to the next step. Naming is something I didn't work at my first company, and it's one of the things that we most regret right now, because we have a name very long, very difficult to spell, and not memorable at all. It's a name that doesn't connect with people. It's called Magia y Cardistry, which in English means magic and cardistry. Cardistry, it's its own art form. It's like juggling with cards. Maybe you have seen people like throw cards around, move them like this, throw them from hand to hand. That's cardistry. So at the beginning, when people don't know you, at least they know what you do. So it's kind of helpful. But when your brand starts growing, it's a real pain when you have a name that people don't know how to pronounce, don't know how to write it or spell it, and that doesn't connect in any way. Because when you say, hey, go to magicandcardistry.com, they don't even know how to spell cardistry because it's not very known for people that are not in that market. So we've learned that lesson, and at Kairos, we improved this by creating a memorable name that is short. It works well in many languages because it's a name that is easy to say in Spain, which is Kairos, and easy to say in English, which is Kairos. So more or less the same. And it also has a lot of meaning that connects with people and makes the name more memorable, because Kairos means the right moment, and it's very related to what we want to achieve, which is that people learn and take action, that they put those learnings into action and they create new projects to empower themselves and to improve their careers and their lives. So it's about the Greek god related to the right moment, but it's also related to the Greek culture, which is related to innovation, to future, to a modern, with history, with knowledge, with philosophy, with all those kinds of stuff. So it's difficult, but it's a challenge that I dare you to create a name, short, memorable, easy to say in any language. And how can you come up with a name like this? Well, for this, artificial intelligence is something that can help you a lot, because the only way to do this is by writing hundreds or thousands of names, and then you will see those that stand out the most and that are more related to what you want to communicate and to what you want to create. And the best name writer is ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, whatever artificial intelligence you want to use. Right here I have an example of the conversation I had with ChatGPT. It's in Spanish, but I told him to create a name for a company related to learning. And now that you have the mission and vision created and that mind map, that's information you can give it to ChatGPT to create the name. So as you can see, I made a lot of iterations. Sorry. So I tell them like I want this name to be easy to say in Spanish and English, related to education, related to taking action, related to all these things that I created in the mind map, and I started creating more and more words. With I told him things that I like, names that I like it to create variations, words from 5 to 10 letters, 10 to 15, more than 15 letters, more concepts. I told him to create to tell me the 100 most known businesses, and then create 100 names related or inspired by those companies. concepts I like it, to create variations, and then to tell me words in another language. I think I have it right here. And then it said Kairo, which is a Japanese word which means the way. Like it's Kai means opening and Ro means way. So it's the opening of a new way, which is also very related to what we want to achieve. And then making more iterations, it appeared Kairos. I think it's right here. Kairos from the Greek culture, which means the right moment. It's a god that represents the right moment. And then as Kairos.com, the domain, it's of course it's not free. I asked him to create domain variations to see if it's a good idea to buy the domain kairosplan.com, Kairos Learn, Kairos Academy, Kairos Institute, Kairos Hub, Kairos Mind. So I decided Kairos Plan because it's also very easy to say in Spanish and in English and in many languages, because, for example, Kairos Learn for you, of course, is very easy, but maybe for a Spanish or European people is more difficult. So that's why I created that. But even I had a name that I like it. I keep creating more variation. We are just over the half of the idea. So I started creating more domains, more ideas, more names different to Kairos, because I wanted to make sure that is the best name for this project. So this is what you do. Just iterate over and over. Start creating new names, read, use, I don't know, whatever can inspire you. Create brainstorming, focus groups, ask your friends, ask your family. That's what I did. I started creating like thousands upon thousands of names. I selected the ones I liked the most. I created more variations, more iterations. I started filtering those names, and I showed them to my friends. What do you think about this name? How does it feel? It's easy to say, it's memorable, it's short. And then when you start working and a couple of days or weeks pass and you have seen that many names, when you leave it rest for a while, then you know that it's the right name. So now I have Kairos, which for me it's a perfect name. It represents exactly what we want to achieve with this project, and it's perfect for the brand. So now it's your turn to create your own name. Create a fictional company, the one that you started with in this course, and create the perfect name by making thousands and thousands of iterations with different concepts, with different words, and make a meaning name. Okay, so it's your turn. I hope you enjoyed this class. Now that you have defined your brand with words, because you have a mission, vision, the mind map, etc., you need to define your brand with images that inspire you in the design process. So you need images that inspire you for the colors, for the typography, for the logo, for the website, for the packaging if it is needed, for everything that you will need in this project. So for this, you're going to gather these images from Google Images, Pinterest, Behance, Dribbble, or any website where you can find this inspiration, and you're going to gather them in a Pinterest pin, or maybe in a Canva project, in Adobe Illustrator, in a folder in your computer, wherever you want, but you need to gather this inspiration. For example, I have here some Greek letters that inspire me with this minimal and clean design, modern, atemporal, like the Greek culture. This is how the Kairos god is represented, with wings on its toes. Right here, sorry, I'm covering it. And the concept of time, of now, but not only about the logo, also about the website design, with these rounded edges, with this bento grid design. Bento grid is this kind of grid where the information is displayed in different squares, rounded squares. And we also made that for my magic company. We needed to create a packaging, so we created this concept of collections. Right here, you can see here, in most of these designs, which is something we want to apply to our packaging. So this is the first one we created, but we will create different ones with different colors to create collections that people can collect, which makes them want to buy more, and with different illustrations that define each of the magic that it's explained in each kit. This is also something you can see in the illustrations we created for the project, with this hand-drawn illustration, which is something we also gathered some inspiration right here in the illustrations tab. We have many illustrations that define the style we wanted. So right now, it's your turn again. Gather some images that represent your brand with the colors, with the typography, with the websites, packagings, everything that inspired you. During the following days, in 2 or 3 days, try to gather all that information. Maybe your customer has sent you some inspiration in the briefing, so collect that with more resources that you gather, and that will help you a lot in the following steps when we get that brand that we defined with images and create the final brand with all the designs that we need to create. Congratulations! Right now you have your brand fully defined and you only need to find the way to translate those concepts into a logo that represents them. So the best thing you can do is grab each one of those concepts or each one of those images that inspire you and make as many sketches related to them as possible. This will help you be so much more creative than if you have to start from zero. So grab those concepts and start sketching as many things as you can. There is some here related to the Greek culture with some Greek characters. There is some related to action, to time, to movement, to the wind. There's even a bird. There are so many variations you can create with each one of the concepts you create. So this is the fastest way to be creative and the more efficient. So grab those concepts, start sketching, and the more sketches you make, the better concepts you will create. And you can combine paper with digital software like Adobe Illustrator, Canva, Affinity Designer, Figma, whatever you wanna use. But paper is the fastest way to iterate and to create new concepts. So it's your turn, start sketching. Now that you have your sketches, it's time to transform them into vectors you can use for your final logo. For this, I'm going to use Adobe Illustrator, but you can use any design software you want. So we're going to create a new file. It doesn't matter the size and the color. At the moment, we're going to use RGB, which is for screens. We will have a class about colors where I will explain you what CMYK is used for, which is printing, and also about color palettes, Pantone inks, and everything you need to know about color. But at the moment, we're going to create any file size you want, okay? So the technique we're going to use for vectorizing, in this case, it's going to be the pen tool, okay? So we're going to make a photo of the logo we want to vectorize. For example, this X right here, which is the number 10 in Roman, but it's also inspired by an hourglass, okay? So it's inspired by this because Kairos, it's the right moment. So it's related to time, and an hourglass is how you measure time. So that's the meaning of this logo. And I'm going to mask it. So I'm going to mask right here, and I'm going to mask right here. So I use only the part I need. I'm going to press V, select the image, and go back to 20% opacity, okay? And I'm going to align it at the middle. Okay, you have all these things in the window toolbar. So you have a line, so you can see it. You have everything I'm going to use. But this is not a course about Adobe Illustrator, so I'm assuming you have a little bit of knowledge about this. And okay, so how can we vectorize this with the pen tool? Okay, if we press the pen tool, we can start creating a shape. Okay, but all the edges look straight, as you can see. Okay, so they are straight. But I'm going to add a color right here, a black color, so you can see it. But if I click, hold, and drag, I can create rounded edges. And as you can see, the anchor point can have any angle you want. But if you press the shift, then the angles will be 0 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180, etc. Okay, they will be straight angles. Okay, so this is important. You can make it free if you don't press any key, but if you press shift, they will be straight angles. Okay, and with this technique, you can create any shape you want. The problem is when you start doing this, sometimes you create a shape that doesn't look right. You don't know why, but it's not looking good. The rounded edges are weird. Sometimes they are really sharp, or sometimes they are more open than you want, and you can't achieve the exact shape you want. Because if I start creating like here, and I start placing the anchor point here, why are you placing the anchor point here and not here or here? You don't know, or are you supposed to use 3 anchor points in this curve, or only one there and another one here? Because you can achieve the same thing. Well, it depends. There are many techniques for creating shapes with the pen tool so they look great, but one of the easiest and most powerful ones is to always use straight angles and to place your anchor points where the sign intersects with vertical, horizontal, and 45 degrees angle lines. Okay, so let me explain you. I'm going to create a simple shape with the brush. Okay, so we can try to achieve this shape. Okay, so I'm going to create this one, for example. Okay, well, it's not really smooth, but something like this. I think it's better, more or less. Okay, so imagine this is our sketch. I'm going to reduce also the opacity, and I'm going to block this layer and create a new layer with a right here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have this shape right here. If we open the guides with Control R, okay, you can see them right here. If we click, hold, and drag, we can start creating guides. Okay, these are vertical and these are horizontal. Okay, so what we're going to do is move them, and whenever they touch the design, we're going to place one guide there. Okay, so right here it's intersecting the design with the vertical line. We also have one right here, as you can see. Here it's not intersecting, but then it starts intersecting. Another one right here, it's not intersecting, but then it intersects with this point. Okay, so as you can see, whenever it intersects with the vertical line, we place a guide. And the same right here. Okay, so it's not intersecting, and then it intersects. The same with horizontal lines. It's intersecting right here, it's intersecting right here, and it's intersecting right here. Okay, with this should be enough. When you have more complex shapes, maybe you want to add diagonal lines. Okay, so imagine you have a 45 degree line, the same as this vertical and horizontal, then it will intersect right here. Okay, so imagine we have that vertical line. In fact, I think I can make it vertical. Yeah, so we have a 45 degree angle line. It will intersect right here in this point. And also maybe if I copy paste it, I think maybe yeah, this line is very weird because it's more or less the same angle, but probably we will need another anchor point here, and the same with the other direction. So if it intersects here, it's not intersecting, so I think it won't be needed. Maybe here we need one right here, but at it's very close to the line, I don't know if we will need it. Okay, but I'm gonna leave them. Okay, the vertical lines are only if you need them, because if you can achieve the same shape with less anchor points, the shape will look more smooth. Okay, will look smoother. If the more anchor points, the more difficult it is to make the shape look good. Okay, so I'm going to add these two in case we need, and maybe we need this one right here, but I'm not sure. I don't think we will. Okay, so I'm going to leave these ones in this layer right here so I can block them also. Okay, so great. Now we have the, I'm going to make them another color so it doesn't distract you. Okay, so I'm going to make them like this, and maybe in blue, the same as the guide. Blue. Okay, perfect. Great. So we have our guides, vertical, horizontal, and diagonal lines, and we already have the places where we have to place our anchor points, which is wherever the sign intersects with those lines. And remember, always use straight angles. Okay, so 90 degrees, 0 degrees, 45, but not random angles, because then the shape won't look good. Okay, this is the tip I'm going to use. For this, we're going to start here, press Shift and move a little bit, then here in the guide, move a little bit, then we go back here where it intersects, sorry, then we start like this, so it's keeping the shape really good. I'm not going to use the diagonal guide. Remember, we only use those if we need them. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty perfect, so we don't need it. And right here, I'm going to add another one. It also looks great, so we don't need it. And right here, there is another one. As you can see here, it goes up and down, so maybe we need another anchor point here. Okay, so we didn't see it because it was really zoomed out, but it's clear that we need another one there because it intersects there and it intersects right here. Okay, so I'm going to press again P. I'm going to go back to the anchor point, right angles like this, and right here with straight angles, another one in the guide right here, and another one. Oh, sorry, I released it. Okay, so right here. Sorry. Okay, another one up here. Let's see if we don't need that diagonal one. And the last one right here. If this happens, okay, as you can see, this is looking weird. Don't worry, because sometimes we have to adjust those anchor points. So now you press A, the direct selection tool, and you can move the handles of the anchor point. Okay, so if we move this one from this side, we have the perfect shape. And right here, maybe we can move this one so it's more pronounced, and we have a perfect shape. Okay, so we didn't even need the diagonal guide. Okay, so with this, if I copy and paste it, sorry, if I copy and paste it and I create a shape, you can see it's a perfect shape. It's very rounded. It looks great. We don't have sharp or weird edges. Okay, so this is the technique to create any shape that looks great with only the anchor points you need. Because if we added more anchor points, this would look weird. Because if you try it yourself, create a shape like this, and try to. I'm going to delete this layer. Try to do it by eye. Okay, so if you start placing anchor points with any angle at any point, it's harder. Okay, so maybe I have more experience and I will get it to look good. But if you start doing like this and like this, and one like this, another one here, another one here, another one here, another one here. Okay, it seems to look good. Okay, but when I put a fill on it, you can see it's not the same. Here, for example, it goes straight and there is a weird shape. Here, for example, it looks kind of broken. I don't know what happens, but something looks wrong here. As you can see, maybe there's an extra anchor point that shouldn't be there. It's not as smooth as this one. Those are really small details, but trust me, when you have, because this is a very simple shape, but when you have complex shapes, it's much more easy. It's easier to make it this way, and it will look great. Okay, so now that you know how to do it, we can make it with our final logo. So in this case, we have a logo that is symmetric. So we only need to design this part and move it to each one of the other sides. Okay. So for this, I'm going to also block this, so it's not bothering me, and I'm going to create a guide right in the middle, right here, for example, another guide right here, and another guide right on top, another guide whenever it intersects vertically. So right here, maybe we need here one because of the diagonal line I told you, but maybe not, I don't know. And another one here. Okay, so this is very simple. We already have the points. I only need to create one anchor point here, another one here with a straight angle, and one here with a 45 degrees angle. If I hold Alt and click here, the line here will disappear, the roundness, and we can make a point right in the middle. I press Escape and I go to this side. Okay, so I'm going to make, sorry, I didn't press the anchor point. Okay, so I'm going to press right here. I think, well, maybe later on we will need to round this edge because sharp edges are not really a good practice in design, but I'm going to make it this way at the moment. Okay, I'm going to try to not using that side. Okay, so I'm going to make it 45 degrees. Now I press A, and maybe if I move this a little bit less. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm not achieving the design I wanted. That's because I do need that extra anchor point. So I'm going to add one right there, move it here, and now it's perfect. I only need to press P again to close the design, add a fill, and we have it done. As I told you, it's not a good practice to have sharp edges. So if I press A, go to that part and move it, I can round it a little bit, maybe also here, so it doesn't look that sharp. And when it's reduced at smaller size, it looks great. And I can also maybe just move it a little bit like this, make it more pronounced, and then add the rounded edges if I can. I don't know if I can because it's so sharp. Okay, now I can. Okay, so like this, perfect. I think like this, it's great. I'm going to add it also here. This is a phase you have to do after creating the logo to make it look better. Okay, so now I can copy and paste it. If you press Ctrl F, it copies at the front. Okay, so now I can give a 180 degrees turn. If I press V, oh, it rounded also these edges. Okay, so I need to go back. Because when I rounded those edges, I think I rounded all of them. So I'm going to press A, make them sharp again. Are these edges sharp? Okay, yeah, because I need these edges to be sharp. Okay, sorry. So I'm going to press A, select only this anchor, and now that this anchor is selected, I can round it. Okay, is this one rounded? Yeah, and these are sharp. Perfect. So now I can copy, paste, turn it. If I'm with the select tool and I press Ctrl, I can select this anchor, so I can move it right in the middle. Okay, if the designs are not snapping, you can go to View, Snap to Point, and Snap to Point. Don't add Snap to Pixel or Grid because this works weird. Only if you need it, okay? Because you can show the grid and then it makes sense to snap it to the grid. But right now, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so I'm going to hide the grid. And now that we have these two, I select both with Shift, Ctrl C, Ctrl F to paste it on front. Transform, reflect. Okay, and now we have the shape created. So I'm going to select all of them, go to the shape builder and make them one by selecting all. And we have the logo created. It looks really great. I can maybe delete all of this. I can hide this layer, delete all of this, and we have the logo right here, created by the pen tool, very smooth, and it looks just as we want it. It's like an hourglass, but also an X, and you can now refine it so it looks great on smaller devices. Maybe you don't want this to be as wide and you want to make it more narrow. Whatever you want to do it, you can now improve the logo, but you know the basics on how to vectorize and sketch using the pen tool. Now I'm going to teach you the easiest technique to vectorize a design, which works great when you want that handmade feeling. For this, you're going to use your favorite design software. I'm going to create a new file in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to add a photo of the sketch I made. Okay, in this case you need the sketch to be as precise as possible. The more precise, the better. And also, if you have an image that's high quality, it will also help you a lot with high contrast. In this case, the color of the paper is very gray, it's a little bit dark, so we need more contrast. You can use for this Photoshop, you can edit in Photoshop and add right here a filter of brightness and contrast, add more brightness, and now there is more difference between the stroke that we want to vectorize and the background. But I'm not going to do it this way because I want to explain you how you can improve the result. Because when you do it like this in image trace, sometimes you get some artifacts like this and some edges that you don't want them to look. In this case, it's pretty good actually. It looks really handmade, as I told you. And with just a button, we have the result we wanted. But sometimes, for example, with this image right here, with a wider stroke, if I make the same thing, image trace, I can get some noise, some dots that I don't want. How can I improve that? Well, for this, you are going to go to Windows, image trace. Okay, I have it right here open, but if you don't have it, go Windows, image trace. And you're not going to press this button, you're going to use this window right here. So you're going to press preview, so you can preview how it looks. And as you can see, we have that noise. How can we reduce that noise and improve the result? Well, you have these toggles right here. So in this case, the noise can be, if I go back, you can see we have more. If I go up, we can remove it. As simple as that. The threshold is where it's going to vectorize and where it's going to delete the content. Okay, if I remove here, you can see we have the preview. Okay, I'm not seeing it. I'm going to import it again. But if you see here, maybe how the threshold is when it's going to detect that we want to vectorize, at what darkness, okay? Because this is brighter, but it's not that bright, and this is dark, okay? And we have some parts maybe that are brighter, like this one, some parts that are darker, like this one, okay? So the threshold means when it's going to be that point and at which it's going to vectorize or delete the background. As you can see, if we move it up, it selects more parts, vectorize. If we go back, then it starts deleting some parts, okay? As you can see, every time less and less parts are vectorized. Okay, so we have to find the right, the smooth point right here, for example, and the paths, it's like how many anchor points and lines are going to be. If you add more corners and more paths, this will look, as you can see, more sharp and more like this. If you go all the way down, it will look smoother, okay? Which is probably what you want. And now that you have this, you can make object, expand, okay, and then you have it vectorized. Okay, you need to press double click, so you enter the group again until you reach the letters. You select all of them with Shift, Control X, so you can cut them, go out, Control V, and you have it right here. And now you can improve by pressing A, okay, so we have the direct selection. Select each of the anchor points and improve them. Maybe we want to move this a little bit here, or maybe even delete this anchor point and this anchor point right here, and just with the pen tool again, smooth this part out. Okay, so like this, okay, and we can start improving the design. The result will be defined by the image you take. Okay, so if you have like this smoother lines, the result will be better, and if you use darker ink and it's more precise, also the photo, the result will be better. If here we have some dots and unfinished edges, the result will be worse. So if we make it right here, we preview, we make it with little paths and corners as possible, we reduce the noise, and we have a pretty good feel. So we can expand it, okay, double click again, so we are in the letters, select them, Control X, we go out, and Control G if you want, or double right click group and delete this, and we have the logo already made. Very simple, and as you can see, it gives a very handmade look because we are actually vectorizing the photo of the sketch we made with our hands. So that's why it looks like this. Okay, so this is very easy, a very fast way to vectorize your logo. Right now, you can scale it as much as you want, and with this you can make anything you need. You can change the color. You can now start refining the logo or improve it as you need. Okay, so this is the image trace technique. Now you are all ready to create your final logo design. For this, you just need to iterate over those sketches, over those vectorized designs until you reach your final logo. You can combine different techniques like the image trace, like the pen tool, maybe combining it with some typography, some other illustrations, or whatever you want to do. Be creative, that's what it's all about. And I can show you here some examples. For example, this is the logo for my MYK company. We started with this typography and made some modifications to make it custom for our brand, and end up with this result right here that you can see at our website with the school, shop, community, the packagings of the kit, everything we made for the brand, the handmade illustrations, etc. And the same with Kairos. I will show you about that later on, which is a typography with some custom elements, with this Greek letter right here, with some touches in the K, so it looks more custom and the way we want to, so it expresses the brand that we define it. Remember, the brand is not just the logo. The logo has to represent and communicate everything that we want our customers or target audience to feel. So now it's your turn to define your final brand proposition, your final logo, to make it in your design software. So you have something like this, and we can start working on some typography, colors, and more exciting stuff. Typography is very important because it represents the tone and voice of the brand. Imagine I'm doing a live speech and I'm doing in a very formal tone, okay? So I would say something like, "Good morning, sirs. Today I want to introduce you to this new feature." Or maybe I can do it in a more euphoric and enthusiastic way, like, "Hey, what's up, folks? Today I want to show you this new feature." It changes, okay? So this change is represented by typography in a brand. So the first thing you need to think about is how do you want your brand to talk to your audience? You want it to be very formal and maybe in a luxury way, or is it really close to your audience in a more familiar and friendly way? You have to decide those things and then decide what typography are you going to use in each case. There are two main typography types: sans serif, which are more minimal and clean, and serif fonts. Okay, the serif is this part of the fonts. Okay, this decoration right here that has some of these fonts, and the serif fonts are usually associated with luxury, formal, professional brands, while sans serif are more associated with minimal, modern, futuristic brands. Okay, so but there are not only this type of fonts. We also have display fonts. For example, in Magic Artistry, my magic company, we have this display font, which is Passion 1 for headings. Let me move it. Okay, so we have Passion 1 for display headings, like very important headings. We have Railway, a sans serif font for regular headings. We have Alegria, a serif font, for the body, for the text, regular text. And we have Covered by Your Grace and Script font, which is like handmade for some decorative parts. Okay, so this is how you can combine the typography. Maybe in a regular post, we only use a Railway and Alegria for the text, but maybe when we want to add some emphasis to the text, we can use Passion 1. And then when we wanna, for example, put the name of the author, we can use Covered by Your Grace. I have here also an example of our magic kit. So you can see we have the display font right here for the main text. Here the script text. Then we have the heading, the body font. Okay, so you can see here how we are combining those typography to represent what we want to achieve. Okay, and we also have some examples here of more text and how we can combine them. So you don't have to choose one. You can choose between 2, 3, maximum 4 fonts to have the versatility you need to represent your brand. For example, in Kairos, we want to combine that look into the future, because we are trying to help you improve your future by learning new skills, but also knowledge is something that comes from the past, and Kairos is related to the Greek culture. So that's why we have this feeling right here in the logo with this serif font, which is more related to luxury, professional, and tradition, but it's a little bit rounded and with some modern style to the font. We modified it, we adapted the font so it looks like this, and that combination gives creates the voice and the tone that we want to achieve, because we want to be close to the audience. We want to create that community. We want to be looking at the future, at what you can achieve when applying all the knowledge that you learn at Kairos. But we also want to be looking at the past to learn from the past, to learn from all the knowledge created by humanity, to have some reference to Kairos, the Greek god that represents the right moment. So that's why we combine both of them. But the serif font is in this bold italic style, so it's more modern, more dynamic, and it's not as old and as related to tradition. Okay, so it's more looking towards the future. So that's the combination we made here for typography. And the best place to find fonts is at Google Fonts. All of them are free. You have information about the license right here, okay, in each font. So that's very important. If you want premium fonts, you can go to places like Adobe Fonts. I don't recommend free places like the font or those places that have free fonts, because most of the times are badly made, so you don't want to use them. It's better to use a free font from Google Font than any of those weird fonts. Here you have plenty of styles, plenty of filters you can use. Okay, you have serif fonts. You have, for example, Ubuntu, which is a sans serif, but with this human style, which is more rounded. For example, Lato is more futuristic, it's more straight. You can see it in the Y. Okay, it's straight, but here in Ubuntu. So all those things define the tone of your brand. So here you can start investigating. There are plenty of options. All of the one I showed you that we use at Magic Artistry are from here. So Covered by Your Grace is here. You can use it. Passion 1 is also here. Alegreya, Railway. They have a Noto typography, which works great with any language. So you have Chinese, Japanese, European, like Spanish languages characters, Korean, English characters. You have everything in one font. That's also important. The font has to be able to adapt to any language your customer talks. There are some fonts that doesn't have Spanish characters, for example, or Greek characters, or Chinese or Korean, whatever your brand needs. And the font needs to be scalable, so it needs to be easy to read on small sizes and on big sizes. And I recommend you that it's a versatile font with bold, semi-bold, light, italic, and all those variations. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to show you about typography. You just have to go to Google Fonts or any similar place and start looking for typography that represent the brand and the voice and the tone of your brand. Remember, the typography is the way your brand is talking to your audience. Is it more formal? Is it more friendly, more family, how is your brand talking? And then find a typography that represents that based on the brand that you define it, your mission, vision, values, etc. I'm going to show you a 3 simple step process to create the perfect color palette for your brand. First, you're going to download all the logos from your competitors. You're going to download a color wheel from Google, and you're going to put them right next to each other. So you can find color opportunities like this zone right here in the orange and yellow zone, and right here in the teal zone. Why is it important to find colors that your competitors are not using? Well, if you are designing the brand for a soda company and you use the color red, everyone is going to think that you are a copy of Coca-Cola. Or if you are going to design the brand for a burgers company and you choose the color yellow, everyone is going to think that you are a copy of McDonald's. So it's important that you choose a color that stands out and differentiates you, so you can communicate with your audience what you want to communicate. Okay, so this is very important because otherwise everyone will think that you are just a copy, and that's not something you want for your brand. So now that you have those color opportunities, we're going to use color psychology. For this, you can do some research online in Google, or you can just go to ChatGPT. You can add some information about your company, like a description, phrases you use, your mission and vision. We already made this in the Define Your Brand lesson in this branding course. So I just copied and pasted that. And I told ChatGPT, I am designing the logo for this company. What colors should I use based on color psychology? And ChatGPT is going to tell you the colors that you could use based on the things that you want to communicate with your brand. And here, the perfect color that aligns with the color opportunity that we had here and the color psychology that we have here is yellow and orange, because these colors evoke energy, optimism, and creativity. They align with the innovative, action-oriented spirit of Kairos, encouraging users to seize the moment for personal growth and impact. So that's the perfect color we want to use, yellow and orange. So how do we find the perfect orange? There are tons of websites like Pinterest, Dribbble, random websites like this one, colors.co, where you can find inspiration. Here they have a lot of color palettes. So if you like this orange, just copy it and you have that orange. If you maybe like this one or this one, you have to decide what tones do you want. Do you want like matte, neon, you want pastel colors, desaturated, saturated? How are the colors that you want to create so the color palette makes sense? Of course, you don't want to use a color like this and with, I don't know, maybe you want to use vintage colors like this one. Maybe you want to use some desaturated pastel colors like this one, or neon colors, or whatever you want to use, but make them cohesive. Another way with this tool that you can find the perfect orange is to use the generator. Each time you press space, it creates different colors. So imagine you like this yellow, okay? This yellow looks like something we could use, so you can block it, and now you can start generating the rest. Okay, I like this orange as well. Maybe I like, okay, this is not like, okay, I like this black one because maybe we need a black also. Okay, I like this red. Well, maybe this one more. And now I'm going to create the last one. If you don't find it, you can choose it yourself. So maybe we can use a gray like this. And now you can go right here to visualize those colors so you can see how they look together and create the perfect color palette, okay? I already made that, and I decided that I'm going to use these three colors, this orange, lime color, and this teal color, because those were the opportunities we had. And for Kairos, I'm going to use many colors because we are going to make 3 courses of many topics. So each topic will have its color, but we are not done. This is the first step to find the perfect color with the color opportunities and the psychology, the color psychology. Then decide those colors, looking for inspiration online. And then we need to create all the color palette with each color going to dark to light. How are we going to achieve this? Well, we are going to copy each one of the colors, okay, the hexadecimal code, and we're going to go to this website called uicolors.app. Okay, here we're going to paste our color, and we have the color palette already made for us, from light to dark. The good thing about this is that it tells you if you have to use a dark or light text on top of that color, because sometimes you don't have enough contrast and it's hard to read. Okay, so for example, you have here all the colors, and in each one of those colors, if you have to use light or dark color, you have here some examples of how can you use those colors together in light and dark mode. And this is what I made in the website I'm designing for Kairos. If you see here in these tags, I'm using different colors, different light and dark tones for each color in light mode and dark mode, and this make it look great and cohesive. So 3 simple steps: find your color opportunities and decide the color that you're going to use with color psychology. I even added here some definition of each color that I use. Decide the specific colors you're going to use based on the tones and what you want to communicate with your brand. If you want to be a very passionate young brand, or maybe more professional with desaturated colors, you choose that, and then you create the full color palette with this other website called uicolors.app, but there are plenty of options. So 3 simple steps. I hope you enjoyed this video. When you create your color palette for your brand and you decide to print something like this kit we created, the colors will never look the same or will never look the way you want. Why is this? Because when you have a color in a screen, it's called RGB. Okay, so red, green, blue. And this color is a color emission. Okay, so the color is created by light. When you print something, it's called CMYK, which is color reflection. The color is reflected on the surface it is printed. So on RGB, when we don't have any color, it looks black, okay? RGB 000 is black. On CMYK, it's the opposite. When we have the maximum 100, it looks black, okay? And if we have 0, 0, 0, and 0, it's white. So it's the opposite. This makes the colors less saturated because of the way they are created. For example, imagine we create this lime color, this yellow lime, and we create a new file, which is going to be for print. So it's going to be in color mode CMYK, okay? We create it and we paste it here. You can already see it's not the same, okay? This color is more vibrant than this one. And when you print it, it's going to be even more noticeable, okay? So this is important to know. Colors don't look the same on CMYK and on RGB. So you need to define what CMYK color you are going to use when you print, okay? So it looks as similar as your brand colors. Or you can use things like this, which are Pantone colors. These are physical libraries of colors that have a color code called Pantone, and when you use these colors, you make sure you are making sure that the color will look exactly this way. So you now can compare how these colors look compared to the one you have on your screen. So imagine I want to use this one, okay? So it's really similar to the colors I have here. So maybe I can use this one right here, for example, or this one. So here I have the exact CMYK color or the Pantone color that I can tell the printing company, so they use exactly the color I want, so it looks as it should. Okay, so this is very complex. Experience will tell you. I've printed lots of products, lots of things like kits, packagings, deck of cards, and many more. And I've had many problems with this, but over time you learn that they are not the same. You need to make some. When you want to print something, you usually can ask for printing proofs or like, so they make a test and you can see how the color looks. But don't expect the printing color to look the same as the color in your screen. And even furthermore, the colors on each screen can vary. So this is also very important to use a good screen, or maybe the screen in your phones. Usually the screens at phones are very, very good screens. So you can use that one if you don't have a good monitor for your computer. So this is something that if you didn't know, it's very useful. The color Pantones, I have tons of them. You can, with one is more than enough, but there are different ones depending on if you are using coated or uncoated paper. If you want to have some neon colors, maybe some metallic inks, they have like ones that have a CMYK and hexadecimal code, and some that only have the Pantone code, etc. And this code you can tell to the printing company directly, and most printing companies, if they are professionals, they can use it, and you can make sure the color looks exactly the same on every printing company all around the world, because that's another thing. Its printing machine uses its way to combine colors. So when you have a color code, it doesn't look the same on one company or on another company, or even on different printing machines in the same company. So I know it's difficult. Don't worry if experience will tell you how to solve this, but the best way is to use color palettes, physical color palettes like Pantones, and to define the exact color you want to use when you print and the exact color you want to use when you use it on screen devices. Okay, so that's it. The last thing you need to define is the imagery and visual elements that your brand needs. For example, product photography, packagings, website design, etc. In this case, in my Magic company, we have this document with product photography inspiration and guidelines of how it should be with this analog film style. The thumbnails for our YouTube channel, which looks all the same. For our websites, the typography, some styles that we use like glass morphism, like this, okay? These are some inspiration we can use, bento grids, etc. So everything is defined here, as well as packagings, which I have this one right here, the example. And you need to define all those mood boards in a place where your customer or yourself can see it, in a PDF, Notion, Pinterest, wherever you want. So it guides you when creating all the creative elements, like a new packaging, a new product photography, a new website, etc. Now that you have your brand ready, it's time to review everything you created to make sure it makes sense and give it to your customer. But take into consideration that the brand is going to be used by people that doesn't know about design, and you have to gather all the information into a comprehensive brand guideline so they know how to use it, and maybe even you have to teach them a little bit good practice. I'm going to show you a real life example from our magic company so you can see what we got from our brand design. Okay, so this is an index, and we got the definition of our brand that we define it with the personality, the visual personality with a mood board, and the language, tone, etc. We also got the colors with hexadecimal, RGB, and CMYK for printing, and with the full color palette, and how we should use it with light and dark text, typography, what typographies are we using, different layouts we can use, how we can combine them with the sizes for web, printing, how we can use it in cards, etc. The logos, we had plenty of them, like an horizontal one, this one with a more like a box layout, this illustration that also represents the brand, a reduced version, when we should use each one, like in what situation, the spacing we need, maximum size, how not to use the logo. This is very important for people that are not designers, and how to combine colors, resources like sub logos, illustration, how we can use them, how we should make product photography with some guidelines right here, packaging, how we should combine text, illustration, colors, and everything, and how we can use colors in digital with this color palette for errors, alerts, information, success messages, typographies, icons, buttons, cards, spacing, sizes, etc. And we have some examples, mock-ups. This is very important. This is what sells to the customers. So they have to see how the brand looks in real life. How would the website look like, posters, packagings, everything. So this is a real example. I encourage you to make the full process of defining and creating a brand and end up with these brand guidelines so you can give it to your customer and start in this branding path. Well, I hope you enjoyed this course and appreciate all the effort that's gone into making it, especially because English is not my main language. So if you did find value in the course, please share it. It helps me a lot. And make sure to check kairosplan.com for more free courses. My name is Julio Rivera, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.